Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about transit Venus, sextile, or trine one's natal Jupiter. Now, this transit could manifest in love, enjoyment, relationships, money, values. This could be in harmony with one expanding horizons, and I'm going to elaborate on that. There may be more love and enjoyment of the expanding horizons if that's what you're doing at this time. If the natal Jupiter, say, is in Aquarius, those things, as far as expanding horizons go, maybe astronomy or astrology, computers, electronics, innovation, as some examples, or even altruism. It might be a time too where when you have this transit as well, it could be a time where you're more, you could say, where your relationships, those are things you could be more upbeat about. It might be a time where you can be more jocular with those people that you're in your relationships with. It could be a time where you value optimism or enthusiasm, exuberance. It's about a time where you understand that those things can be very important, and naturally having optimism, exuberance, enthusiasm, those are the things that will help you out with the things that you may be making money in. If you're in some field and you're generating income with something, of course, that you're not really truly happy with, it may be harder, of course, to be productive in that field. And also, too, you may be more exuberant regarding your relationships at this time. That could be a time where you get um, the money, the funds that you may need for Jupiterian things, such as foreign travel, higher education, publishing, advertising. Those things are such where the money you may be more apt to have that money for that. And even if it's a time where, or if you're in, I should say, if you're in a situation, like say that you are affluent, you are prosperous, it can be a time as well where you may have that money anyway, but you'd be more apt to spend it more so than usual at this time. And if you're a kind of person that has hesitations or you procrastinate regarding spending money, this is the time where you'd be less apt to do so. So anyway, now another thing too is when you have this transit, keep in mind, okay, anatomically speaking, Jupiter is connected with the liver, the sciatic nerve, the hips, the pancreas, and obesity. So it's a time to as well, if you have any of these issues, um, you may value this a little bit more. I'm not saying you value anything physically wrong with you that's associated with what I stated anatomically, connect with what's good anatomically connected with Jupiter. But what I'm saying is it's valuing, being able to take care of these issues if you do have them. To have these things, these body parts in working order. And it's a time where you may be more apt to spend the money on these matters if you do have any of those health related issues that I stated that are anatomically connected with Jupiter at this time. And the thing about this too is that Jupiter is connected with being jocular and jovial, humorous. This is more of a time and opportunity where you can express this more with people that you're in. Could be a romantic relationship with. It could be just your your significant friendships at this time. And it's a time where it's easy to value these things, being jocular, being humorous, being jovial. It's a good time. I mean, at the time of this video, of course, many of you may know we've had some trying times in the world with the COVID variant at least being somewhat prevalent at this time. And whether there's war or there's something things going on that are very negative, it's always a time anyway to value humor, to be, even if it's self-deprecating humor. And this could be, a time, looking at this, I mean, if the natal Jupiter's in Cancer, I mean, the zodiac sign Cancer can be notorious for self-deprecating humor. I have a strong Cancer energy in my chart in general. I don't have my Jupiter in Cancer, but I could be known for self-deprecating humor, and it's a time, even if it's just about laughing at yourself, to value this more at this time, more so than usual. And it's also a time to, I mean, when you look at this transit, it's also I mean, Jupiter is associated with higher education, and it's a time where you may have more enjoyment in this at this time, more so than usual. And the fact that it's more about having your self-worth, your self-esteem, how you feel about yourself, being in harmony with educating yourself beyond high school, and getting that information may play dividends in your in those things at this time. And it's also, this could be a time where your relationships, whether they're significant friendships, whether they're romantic connections, may be more in harmony with your philosophies, your beliefs at this time, more so than usual. If your natal Jupiter, say, is an Aquarius, it could be beliefs that might be unconventional or unorthodox, and maybe something that's associated with astronomy, and I'm sorry, astrology, and it's something where these people may be more in harmony with them, in agreement with what you believe. But the thing about it is, too, even if they don't truly, people don't truly agree with your beliefs, your philosophies, they could at least disagree in a manner that's not disputatious, or at least be willing to accept and listen to what you have to say. Now, another thing too, this could also be about, some cases, be having the money. It could be for a religious congregation. If if you're part of some religious congregation, you want to make some contribution, monetarily, and you haven't been able to do so, and sometimes this could be an ideal time and have that opportunity to be able to do that at this time. And again, the fact that Venus is connected, with your self-worth, your self-esteem, and how you feel about yourself, you might feel at this time that you feel like you're worthy enough to do things, getting something published at this time. This is the time where it could actually be money, that you may be getting at this time for having something published in certain instances. If you're somebody that does write and you do publish things regularly, this could be a time where you may be coming into some money for that. It could also be a time where there's more of an enjoyment in this as well. I would say more so than usual. And the thing about Venus is also about peace, and it's about harmony, and it's about having the harmony and peace. It could be with in-laws, or people that are college professors, or uh, religious people, people that are in the law. There, if you have policemen that are in your neighborhood, it's more of a time where you could be more in harmony with them. Maybe they're friendlier with you more so than usual. Those are some ways this transit could manifest. And also too, Jupiter being connected with advertising, this is a time where you may have the money more to be able to do so. Sometimes it may be resources, having the resources to get to do things connected with advertising and publishing. And again, you're talking about a good relationship in the aspect between the transit of Venus and the natal Jupiter at this time. Both these planets have a connection with money. Venus is about money. Jupiter is more about affluence and prosperity. So it could be a good aspect to come into some money. It might be a little more than you anticipated. Now, when you have this transit, and even when you have this natal placement, keep in mind this doesn't give any kind of guarantee or assurance that you're going to be prosperous or affluent. I have this aspect in my natal chart. I mean, I'm not exactly what you would call, affluent or prosperous, some on a lower level income actually. But the thing about it is, but what's fortuitous about this aspect, I would say for a lot of people, is the fact that it's good as far as coming into money if you really need it. It may not give you an abundance of money or wealth, but it's something where it's still very positive to have what you need and to get what you need when you need it monetarily, I would say. Now, hold on a moment, people. Now, another thing I want to talk about as far as Jupiter goes, well, Jupiter is also about the law. So it's something too where you're more, could be more in harmony with it. Most people are law-abiding citizens, but this is a time where you feel you might be more at peace. Could be with people that are involved in the law enforcement people at this time. It might be a time where you can lay down the law with people that you're in relationships with, whether it's important or significant friendships or romantic connection, without being overly hurtful or blunt in doing so at this time. And it's also Jupiter being connected with the truth. It's a good time where you can, at least if you're trying to find out something about someone, whether it's a prominent friend or a significant other, and you've been searching for, it's a time where you can, I would say, likely find out the truth if you've been suspicious about somebody, without having diversion or distractions, and being able to do so. And it might be positive news, and it might be maybe where it could have been, if you had any suspicions, maybe there, it could relieve you of that at this time. But at the very least, it's fine. I think I would say it could be auspicious for finding out the truth about somebody if you have suspicions on them, whether you find out it could be good or bad. And it could also be that it's a good time just for the connection with relationships in general, about being truthful, and these people being veracious and truthful as well with you. And anyway, now another way this transit may manifest, it could be where relationships, which is Venus, could be in harmony with you, expanding horizons. Now let's say, for example, if the natal Jupiter is in the zodiac sign Cancer, those horizons you're expanding could be connected with cooking, history, home renovation, remodeling, roofing, as some examples. It could also be a very auspicious time to receive money, and money, of course, is Venus, and it could be for publishing or advertising at this time. And another thing too, it might be a time too where, let's say, the natal Jupiter is in Aquarius, those things that might be advertised or published could be associated with astrology, computers, astronomy, as some examples. It also could be a very positive time for peaceful, which is Venus, which is interaction with foreigners, people that are prominent in religion in your community, in-laws, and that's Jupiter. Now, let's say, for example, if the natal Jupiter is in Sagittarius, these people could be Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant people, or embody those characteristics. And it could also be a time where it's easy to love and enjoy sports at this time. Love and enjoyment is Venus. Sports has a connection with Jupiter. Let's say, for example, if the natal Jupiter is in Gemini, it could be badminton, table tennis, handball. These are sports that require quick reactions, which of course I would say be synonymous with Gemini. And also it could be a time where it's propitious for artistic expression, which is Venus, and it could be to be published, which is Jupiter. Let's say if the natal Jupiter is in Leo, it could be very flamboyant art. It could be ones that involve children, and it also could have something that's very creative connected with it. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.